"1,000 episodes. What started out as a place to feel less alone has turned into a global community. And I'd love to share this milestone with you because without you, there is no community. So I've decided to do a giveaway. In November, we're going to be celebrating 1,000 episodes of the podcast, which started out as Mom is in Control. And then at the beginning of this year was rebranded to Emotionally Uncomfortable. So all you have to do is go to heatherchauvin.com/1000. So Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/1000, like 1,000. And you're going to watch a little video of me. You can either do an audio reply or a text reply, or if you're brave, you can even do a video reply. And every single person who does a submission on how the podcast has impacted them will be entered into a draw. So we're going to be giving away some athletic greens. They're a sponsor of the show. I'm going to be giving away a pair of my favorite pajamas from Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth has been on Oprah's Favorite Things. I absolutely love these pajamas. And I'm also going to be giving away one of a basket that we've done previously with a collaboration with Jules Baskets. So you can check them out at JULES Baskets. And there's a Why Not You and a Drop the Guilt gift basket with a copy of my book. So all you have to do is go to heatherchauvin.com/1000, submit how the podcast has impacted you, and you will be entered into a giveaway. Thank you so much for being here. You have no idea what this means to me. And it's also a friendly reminder that if there's something inside of you that wants to be birthed, that wants to be said, go say it. There's somebody who needs to hear it from you. The more you resist something, the deeper you have to climb out. Hello, ladies. I'm back. Today I'm doing a solo podcast and I am talking about resistance in general. It is my favorite topic. It's definitely something that I teach a lot of women, and it's really tied to being emotionally uncomfortable. And resistance, sabotage, barriers, procrastination, getting back in alignment with how you want to feel is so fascinating to me because when I wrote my book, Dying to Be a Good Mother, it was a prescriptive memoir. And I was telling my story about, of course, my cancer journey, but also parenting in general and how I had so much resistance to feeling good. And I know I'm not alone when I say this, but since writing that book, and being radically honest with myself and saying, how did I get here? Right? It wasn't just me. There's cultural expectations of who we need to be. But I realized that I had control over a lot of my actions, but I was taught to not do things because of the energy around me. So I'm sure you can relate to this. But the interesting part is, and I talk a lot, I'll probably start talking more about this. My son, teenager, I have 3 boys. They're 17. They keep changing age and I get confused. 17, 12, almost 13. So let's say 17, 13, and 10. And what I've noticed is now that my son is, becoming an adult, the oldest one, there's a lot of mirroring, right? Your children are always mirroring back to you what we need to learn and do and grow. And they're just, they're little humans and they're showing us, they're just triggering the crap out of us. And that's what conscious parenting is all about. So looking at him becoming an adult, I can see so clearly how culture brainwashes us to believe that we need to become somebody that we are not. And this is how we harden. This is how we move away from our core desires, move away from how we want to feel. So children, teens, relationships are a beautiful example to show us and just mirror back to us. So I've been doing this work since my oldest was like 4 years old. So let's say 13 years. So I've been at this. I'm not a newbie. But when it is in your face and you're watching your children struggle with this duality of who I want to be versus who the world is telling me to be, I see so clearly how resistance plays a huge role in why we don't find that alignment, why we don't find that happiness, why we don't find those feel-good emotions or the success that we desire. Because for so long in our lives, for decades, we are taught to be somebody that we are authentically not at our core. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately as my son continues to grow and he's going to go out into the world and then he's going to unlearn and he'll figure it out. And I can teach him all the things. Like people assume because I have a podcast, I wrote a book, like, oh, my parenting and my life should be perfect. But the truth is it's not. Like the learning that you do as a parent or as a woman or as a man, whoever you are, that's your own spiritual path. That's your own learning. Your children are on their own spiritual path and they will talk about you in therapy. It doesn't matter how much work you do on yourself, you're still influencing your children and they're going to tell themselves their own story about you. But I want to read this quote and I want to talk about what I said at the beginning. The more you resist something, the deeper you have to climb out. So this is with you as an individual. And I also want you to look through the lens of somebody that you really, really care about. So for the sake of today's podcast, I'm going to look through the lens of my son, my teenager. And I'm going to read this quote from Dr. Joe Dispenza. So if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza, you can Google him. He's got many, many books. One of his books is You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter. What I really appreciate about his work, it's very aligned with my values, which is like, how do you want to feel? Who do you want to be? And there's this hopefulness about his message where, and it's practical. It seems a little over your head at first, but it's actually very practical. And it talks about, consistency. Like it's not just about meditating and your brain is going to be different. He talks about the brain science of how we can actually change our brain. Okay. But you got to be committed. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be committed to becoming a different person. But here's a quote that I found and I want to talk about it. Okay. Your personality is made up of how you think, act, and feel. It is your state of being. Therefore, your same thoughts, actions, and feelings will keep you enslaved to the same past emotional reality. However, when you as a personality embrace new thoughts, actions, and feelings, you will inevitably create a new personal reality in your future. So I've also heard him say, your personality is your personal reality. And I believe from what I've witnessed culturally, people say, oh, that's just my personality, right? Oh, that's just my personality. I'm a very anxious person. Oh, that's just my personality. I insert who you think you are or who somebody else is. So there's a lot of beliefs that we carry around our personality, believing that a child is born with a certain type of personality, or people will say, oh, they have these type of tendencies. I believe the truth is we can change our personality. And I don't mean completely, but we can change our personal reality, how we see the world, how we treat ourselves, how we treat other people, our habits, and how we feel about ourselves. I see it every day. I'm living proof. My clients are living proof. So when you change the way that you act, right, the actions that you take, you are going to eventually change the way you feel. And again, it's cyclical, right? So your thoughts, your actions, your feelings, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You are changing the currency. You are changing the current, the energy in your mind, your body, your soul. And then inevitably your life becomes a byproduct of that, your personal reality. So let's say that's money, right? So if you're like, oh, debt, like, I can't. That's your personal reality. And you won't. You will continue to think and to act accordingly and keep yourself in this hole. Not saying that you're going to, you will get out of it, and it might be dollar by dollar by dollar. It's not going to be overnight. It's the patience game. It's the consistency game. But here's the thing. I started this podcast saying the more you resist something, the deeper you have to climb out. So if you have taken small actions on a daily basis and you feel like you're in this deep hole, could be money, it could be time, it could be energy, it could be a relationship, it could be your parenting, it could be your health. And you're like, I am so far in this freaking hole, I'm never going to get out of it. Then we stay stuck. Okay. We feel stuck in this hole. But the more you resist change, the deeper you have to climb out. You're in this cave. Okay. And you have to climb down this ladder in this cave. Every step down the ladder, going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into this cave, is you saying, I can't, I don't know how, I'm stuck, I can't, I'm too old, I can't afford it, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy. Every single step, I want you to visualize that. You're going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into that hole. And what you're doing is you are actually convincing yourself, I am the type of person that can't succeed. Now, what does this have to do with children? Today's podcast sponsor is a product my family and I use almost daily. I started using AG1 because my life is full and we are always on the move. I was looking to continue optimizing my energy and help my family and support my kids with their gut health and overall immune health as well, especially my teenager. We've been using AG1 now for almost, I want to say 6 to 12 months at least. It has a mild tropical taste, and my kids don't even notice when I add it to their smoothies. What I really appreciate about Athletic Greens is the founder's story and why the product was created. It was created because the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover. And it cost him more than $100 a day. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutrition routine on your own. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to gift you a free 1-year supplement of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/EU for emotionally uncomfortable. That's Athletic Greens, ATHLETIC greens.com/EU. All right. Now back to the podcast. I want you to think about the influence around your children. Education, parenting, coaches, leaders, society, media, all of the influence around your children. right? They're friends. Over time, right? People talk about trauma, and we can change our trauma. We can heal our trauma. Not saying it's easy, it's emotionally uncomfortable, but let's say over time, your child has developed a complex or a personality that's like, I'm stupid. I am not good at school, or I'm not smart. Or the opposite, right? Like I'm an A+ student. I have to please, I have to perform. Every single vote for that personality gets you deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, not deeper and deeper in the hole, but it becomes more, quote unquote, enslaved, right? Like it's setting like rock solid of like, I am this type of person that will keep showing up. I will try as hard as I can. I will push, I will hustle. And I'm not saying that all of this is bad. It's not. Some of it is life enhancing. It's productive, right? But let's say your child or you or somebody you love develops a complex that they're not smart, that they're incapable, that they're lazy. Maybe you're telling your child that. Maybe your child is telling themselves that. Maybe your child is hearing that from educators because it's disempowering. It's not empowering. And what they're doing is they keep falling down, down, down this ladder into this deep cave mentally. Okay. So there they are at the bottom of the cave. They look up. They're like, holy shit, I am deep. The more you resist something, the deeper you have to climb out. So they're deep, deep, deep into this cave. They've developed a personal reality that feels impossible to get out of. They're telling themselves, I am not the type of person that succeeds. I am not the type of person that can be healthy. I am not the type of person that can be rich. I am not the type of person that has an abundance of time or energy. I am not the type of person that people respect. I am not a confident person. Whatever stories we tell ourselves, right? Other people, we can see it much easier in other people, whether it's partners, children, every human you come into contact with, you can see it so clearly. Your personality is made up of how you think, act, and feel. It's your state of being. Therefore, the same thoughts, actions, and feelings will keep you enslaved to the same past personal reality. However, when you as a personality embrace new thoughts, new actions, new feelings, you will inevitably create a new personal reality in your future. So here we are. You're at the bottom of this cave. The more you resist something, the deeper you have to climb out. So let's now shift. I talk about my 60-minute rule. I talk about the 10-minute rule. I talk about tiny habits. I love the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Go get it. Go read it. The science behind habits. So here you are at the bottom of this cave. One day, you decide to have a different thought. What if I could get out of debt? What if I could change my eating patterns? What if I could create space for myself? Just 10 minutes a day. You put your foot on that ladder and you go up one step. You still look up and you're like, holy shit, I still got a far ways to go. And you put your foot on that step and you have resistance. There's a lot of mental resistance because your thoughts are getting louder and they're telling you, you can't. Why even try? You're such a fucking loser. You've been like this your whole life. You actually think something is going to change. And not only are you telling yourself this mental resistance coming up, but maybe there's one person in your life, and it could be a random stranger or someone that you're connected to, but they're telling you the same thing. And you're looking at them, and because you don't have the confidence yet, because you don't have enough evidence, right? You haven't gone up enough stairs or steps, you believe them. So you're like, yeah, I'm right. Why? You're right. Why even try? Why even try? But let's just say there's a tiny part of you that you're like, you know what? Fuck you. You know what? I'm just going to act as if I'm going to be successful. I'm going to act as if that I'm going to change my fucking life. I'm going to act as if that I am worthy and deserving of how I want to feel and what I desire to attract in my life, in my relationships, in my future. Maybe you don't even understand that when you take different action, you are changing your brain. So you're like, you know what? I'm just going to I'm going to face my resistance, and I'm going to take another tiny habit, another tiny step. And you take that other step and you look down this time. You don't look up. You're like, holy crap, look, I'm moving away from the bottom of the cave. And slowly, you face your resistance 10 minutes at a time. One day at a time, one moment at a time. And you start climbing your way out of this cave because you have a little spark of hope. You're like, what if I actually succeed? What if I can stop yelling at my children? What if? What if I can actually quit my job and start that business? What if I can be happy in this marriage? What if I actually leave the marriage? What if I find fulfillment? What if I attract and make money beyond my wildest dreams? What if? What if? The more you resist looking at something, the deeper you have to climb out. The more you look at your resistance and lean into it, the quicker you get out. Your personality is made up of how you think, act, and feel. It's your state of being. Therefore, your same thoughts, actions, and feelings will keep you enslaved to the same past emotional response and personal reality. I get so many questions from parents and women in general, and now men. How do I change somebody else's behavior? How do I not let the energy of XYZ person affect me? The reason why we're asking those questions is because we don't know how to do it ourselves. So I'm going to give you a personal, to circle this back to my son. His behavior, first of all, the bigger your kids get, the older they get, the less control you have over their lives, which is incredibly triggering because when your kids are toddlers or small, you have so much control. You can control what they eat. You can control what they wear. You can control where they are. But the older they get, the less control you have. So anything that you were actually resisting looking at comes up as they get older. So when people say to me, oh, it gets easier. In some aspects it does. Maybe you can get more sleep, or maybe you don't get more sleep because you're up at night worried about them. And now your sleep isn't because the child isn't sleeping. Your lack of sleep is because of your anxious thoughts or stressful thoughts. So that's a myth. We all have stressors in our lives, and we need to stop comparing, do the comparative suffering of like, well, at least, no, we all have stressors, and we're allowed to be stressed. We're allowed to be worried. We're allowed to be overwhelmed. But when I look at my children and I think, I can no longer control your behavior, I surrender. But I can influence who you become by how I lead my life. So if I'm going to ask, how do I get my child to do something? I should be asking myself, how do I do that? And if I don't know how to do that, that's the missing piece. I first need to learn the skill and implement it in my own life so I can have compassion and empathy and life experience and awareness to know how to support and coach and lead my child to do the same thing. That's consciousness. That's conscious parenting. That's conscious leadership. That's life in general. So I'm curious what your takeaway is today from today's podcast. And I want to hear from you. I want you to head on over to Instagram. You can find me at Heather Chauvin. My last name is spelled Chauvin. And I want you to find me on Instagram and send me a private message in my DMs and just let me know what episode you listened to and what you took away from that specifically. Because the more you resist anything in your life, the deeper you have to climb out. And I look at my kids, especially my teenager, and I think, if you are in a hole, in a cave, and I'm staring down at you, and I have no fucking clue how you got in there, that's terrifying. Like, I can't even see the ladder. But I'm going to be scared. I'm going to be scared to lose my child mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. But if I can see the ladder because I know how they got down there, I can empathize with them. I'm like, yes, I'm human. I get it, right? The self-criticism, all of that. I can climb down the ladder with my child. I can meet them where they're at. And I can guide them back out. I can't make them climb the ladder, but I can stand next to them. That, to me, that's leadership. That's a good mother. That's conscious parenting. And that's how we change our personality. That's how we embrace new thoughts, new actions, and feelings, and inevitably create a new personal reality. Are you ready to take back control of your time and energy? But the thought of where to start feels overwhelming. I created something for you. It's called the Energy Finder Quiz. Yep. This quiz takes less than 2 minutes and it helps you identify where to focus so you can conquer your dreams without feeling like you're failing as a mother. After coaching hundreds of women, helping them reverse engineer how they want to feel in their personal and professional lives, I started to notice 4 hidden skills that women must master in order to create the work-life balance that they crave. So head on over to Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/life quiz. Heather Chauvin, heatherchauvin.com/life, LIFE quiz, QUIZ, and get started. I even give you specific podcast episodes to listen to based on your Energy Finder quiz results. The goal is to show you where to focus so you can regain your time and energy and become the woman you deeply know you are capable of becoming. heatherchauvin.com/life quiz.
So before I started working with Heather, I was sitting in the car, had been listening to the podcast for several months by that point. And I don't even remember particularly which podcast it was, but was sitting in the car waiting to pick up my daughter from school and heard the call for applications and heard some of the testimonials in addition to what was presented in the podcast, and just had one of those feelings where I realized in the pit of my stomach that there were things that I was missing. I realized how kind of empty I felt and not fulfilled, not just in my career, but in life, but in parenting, and just couldn't shake that feeling of there's something more that I have to give the world. In working with Heather, one of the things that I realized was most of her program and the interaction is giving you the framework. It really gave me the framework and those bits of information to start me down that trail of thinking about myself and my interactions and my everyday life, basically, how I would think about things, how I would go about things. And one thing that I've really honed into is how much perspective means. You know, it's the perspective of thinking about, well, if I approach it from this angle or this attitude, this outcome is different. And realizing that it's okay that there's more than one way. You know, there's so many society standards that are flashed in front of us on a constant basis. And really having that confidence and that internal understanding that it's okay to do things a little bit differently and be given the framework to go about doing that. And I think it's made a huge difference, especially with my kids, and being able to talk to them with things that they're encountering, with things that they see and hear. And that's been tremendously helpful.